What's up, everyone? I am Jason C, and today is another episode of Non-Chill Filtered, where every now and then I will be voicing my opinion on the latest and greatest news from the whiskey world and the effect it could have on you and the whiskey itself. Hey everyone, get pumped, get excited. Last week, Buffalo Trace announced that they are making Blanton's straight from the barrel available in the US this fall and will continue to be a one-time annual release. So this is following the announcement back in February that Blanton's Gold was also being made available on an annual basis as well. Previously, both Gold and Straight from the Barrel were only available in non-US markets. And what can I say? I do applaud Buffalo Trace for making these available to US buyers annually on a limited basis. But unfortunately, the word available is a bit misleading. So for me personally, and as a lot of you guys know, I have a lot of issues with Blanton's. Not from a quality point of view. I think it's a solid $60 bourbon with a great history, and I can obviously appreciate that, being a history buff myself. But it's the effect it's had on consumers and store owners that have driven up the price and demand for this bottle in today's market. So now that Blanton's Gold and Straight from the Barrel have been made available for US consumers by Buffalo Trace, you can be sure of two things. One, 95% of consumers will never see a bottle of either of these because that's what happens when you combine the words Blanton's, Buffalo Trace, and Sazerac. Two, demand and prices for these bottles will be stupid, really stupid. So let's taste through Blanton's Straight from the Barrel and then provide you some alternatives for you guys, since this will be really difficult to get. First off, as I mentioned, Gold and Straight from the Barrel were originally sold in non-US markets and some domestic duty-free shops as well. Mainly you hear these selling in Japan or Australia. So when they announced Blanton's Gold back in February, the announcement was it would have an MSRP price of $120 here in the US. Now that's double the price of regular Blanton's, which is about 60 bucks, and it's only 10 proof points higher. Now in Australia, Blanton's Gold in average is only around 90 bucks in US dollars. So apparently when you keep this stuff in the US, the price goes up another 30 bucks. Now Straight from the Barrel will be priced at $150, and proof points will vary because it's straight from the barrel, so you never know what you're gonna get until you dump it. This one happens to be 131.6 proof, which is a huge upgrade from the normal 93 proof that Blanton's usually is. Now, Australia pricing has this at about 120 bucks in US dollars. Again, we're looking at another 30 bucks more for this just to stay in the US. Now, Blanton's Gold released here in the summertime, and I only know two people that ever saw a bottle. All the people that I know in the whiskey world, two of them saw a Blanton's Gold hanging out. One was in a lottery. Store had a lottery, and Blanton's Gold was part of that lottery drawing. And the other person actually walked into a store and saw it at the low price of $400. I'll pause for your laughter. Okay, so you asked, Jason, how the hell did you get these bottles? Well, the Gold I got from a family member who traveled to Australia and brought one back for me. And the Straight from the Barrel I bought on secondary, although the secondary market pricing on these has gone up about $60 since I got mine. I got mine about, a little over a year ago, and I do love this stuff, but I wouldn't buy another bottle for the secondary prices as they are today with so many great barrel-proof bourbons on the market, but we'll get into that. All right, so first we're gonna try the Gold real quick. Pretty golden horsey. All right, here we go. This one just comes off as very, very distinct cotton candy on the nose. This is super sweet. I'm actually getting like a strawberry note on here, strawberry cotton candy. Now remember, Blanton's is said to be around 6 to 8 years old. They are all single barrels, so depending on which bottle you get, they could vary in flavor. This one is coming through with a lot of cotton candy, strawberry, your typical rich vanillas, caramels, that toasted pecan note I always get from Buffalo Trace. Super sweet and vanilla. Some buttered toffee in there. Blanton's Gold has a great nose, at least this bottle does. This one actually, I was pretty impressed with. Let's go for a sip. So 103 proof. Now this one for me, I do like it better than the regular Blanton's, although I will say people that like that smooth finish on Blanton's, I'm not sure many people would love this one because the Blanton's Gold to me You get so much more flavor up front just being 10 proof points higher, but I also feel like you get a lot more of the alcohol burn from the Blanton's Gold, at least in this bottle. I don't know if any of you out there have had, you know, a Blanton's Gold and it actually drank a lot hard. I mean, it's only 10 proof points higher than regular Blanton's, but it's actually drinking like it's higher than 103 proof. Let's go for another sip here. Second sip was a little better. All the sweetness coming through, the toasted pecan, cinnamon, caramel, all the beautiful sweet notes you get from Buffalo Trace. Really good solid bourbon. I would not pay $120 for this, hands down. I definitely would not. But I do think it is an upgrade. I do wish that this was about, I don't know, for 10 proof points higher. I think $100 would probably be the highest I would go with this bottle. Pretty good. All right, so now let's go to the Straight from the Barrel, which I gotta say, this one I particularly have is pretty amazing. So I don't get nearly the alcohol burn on this one that I get on the Gold. This one is just chocolate, butterscotch, man, sweet like cinnamon dusted pecans, beautiful chocolate, rich, deep, dark vanilla. You definitely get some smokiness in there too, being that it's barrel proof. Again, I said before that these will vary. This one happens to be 131.6 proof. The Straight from the Barrel has a little bit more of a different label on it. Again, another handwritten label makes it really feel kind of collectible. And of course you got your collectible horsey on top. Yeah, this one's really nice on the nose, and for such a higher proof than the Gold, it's actually coming off softer on the nose. Let's go for a sip. Well, I actually haven't had this one in a while. This comes off actually smoother and richer in flavor than the Blanton's Gold does. Now, I know some of you don't like the word smoother, but that's exactly what it is. I'm just not getting as much as an alcohol burn that I was getting on the Gold. The Straight from the Barrel comes off a little bit softer, but more fuller in flavor. On the Gold, I feel like I'm getting more alcohol, where on the Straight from the Barrel, I'm getting more flavor. Another sip of the Straight from the Barrel. Yeah, it's so rich in flavor. I like this actually a lot better than the Gold. I think the Gold just drinks a little bit hotter for what it is. Again, mine might just be coming through that way depending on what barrel it was. Whereas this Straight from the Barrel is just straight up chocolate, dark fruits, vanilla, like rich caramels, a lot of cinnamon spice on the back end. It's great. What can I say? I really like this bourbon. I wish all my Blantons was like this. But you know, I would love to thank Buffalo Trace and Sazerac for another big announcement for this special release that unfortunately is not going to be made available for everyday consumers. So this is why I'm pissed about these releases. Okay, I realize it's hard to keep up with the demand for Blantons or pretty much anything from Buffalo Trace, since so many people are chasing these bottles, and listen, bourbon does have to age no matter what. All right, these are said to be between 6 to 8 years old. It has to get to that point. And as soon as these things hit the shelf, they're gone. The thing is I see through these press releases where it looks like Buffalo Trace is doing this amazing thing, making these two hard-to-find Blantons that are only available overseas now available to US consumers. It's really just their marketing teams doing their job. They're doing two things. They're raising the prices and they're raising more demand for both of these bottles, when they absolutely know that 95% of the people looking for a bottle in the US will either never see it or will never be able to afford it. Basically what will happen to Straight from the Barrel, just like the Gold, it will go into either store lotteries, which I don't mind as long as they're paying retail. But the US prices, as we already saw, are still upcharged from what they're available for in Australia, which is kind of weird because they're staying here in the US. It'll go behind the counter, it'll go behind the glass at liquor stores, or put on secondary with the jacked up price tags. Buffalo Trace products are the most in demand and the most price gouged across the board. The sad thing is, there's no accountability on the part of anyone in the three-tiered system to stop any of it, and the fact that people are still buying this at these jacked up prices. First up is Rare Breed from Wild Turkey, which is 116.8 of barrel proof goodness. It's a blend of 6, 8, and 12-year-old whiskeys in this bottle for only about $45. Another reason why Wild Turkey is still the value king in my eyes. I know I talk about it a lot, but Knob Creek Single Barrel from Jim Beam, 120 proof, 9 years old, and about 45 to 50 bucks as well. It may not be barrel proof per se, but it's pretty damn close. The 9-year age statement is back, which means the youngest possible bourbon in this bottle has to be at least 9 years old. Could be older, but can't be younger. Old Forester 1920, which is 115 proof and the darling of the Whiskey Row series, for 60 bucks. This is bold, flavorful, delicious. I would take this over Blanton's Gold any day of the week. Another amazing pickup is Belle Meade Cask Strength Reserve out of Greenbrier Distilling in Nashville. This is MGP bourbon bottled at cask strength and is steel at 60 bucks. This comes in at 114.9 proof. It's got a ton of flavor. It's very rich, very mouth coating. Just one of those absolute gems on the shelf that not a lot of people pay attention to. Next up is Bulleit Barrel Strength, which releases in batch numbers. This happens to be batch 5. If you're a fan of Bulleit, like a lot of people are, definitely give it a go. It's generally available and around 50 bucks. Next up is Four Roses. They release these private selection bottles at cask strength using one of their 10 recipes that can offer a lot of different flavors with spice, fruit, and floral flavors for around 60 to 70 bucks. This one is their OBSK recipe, which is their high rye mash bill, so it has a little bit more spiciness to it. Absolutely delicious stuff and definitely ones to keep an eye out for. And of course, how can I forget the ultimate value in bourbon right here? It's Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. These drop 3 times a year. They retail for about 65 bucks, but can be priced up to about 100 in some areas. Still worth it. These are 12 years old, barrel proof, and just super flavorful, amazingly rich. This one is actually the B520, which is still probably one of my favorite releases for 2020. This is just, has the perfect balance of proof, sweetness. It gives you a nice lingering Kentucky hug without overdoing it. Just one of the most perfect bourbons I've tried this year. Other barrel proof bourbons that are out there but a bit harder to find are Stag Jr., which is another Buffalo Trace product, which can vary between 60 up to over 100 bucks. Just because it is Buffalo Trace, as we mentioned. You have 1792 Full Proof, which is about 50 bucks. This is Old Ezra 7-year cask strength from Lux Row Distillers. This one's about $40, a great value for the money. And then you have Smoke Wagon, which is a newer brand, and they're blending some really great MGP barrels together to make uncut, unfiltered, just delicious stuff. So guys, there's a lot out there to try and buy, rather than giving into the hype and price gouging of a bottle that's great, but sure to be another unicorn added to the growing list of unicorns from Buffalo Trace. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Non-Chill Filtered here on the Mash and Drum. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, find me on Instagram, find me on Twitter. Let me know what you think about the news of Straight from the Barrel. If you think it's going to be another unicorn, are you going to try to find it? Are you going to try to hunt it? Or are you going to stick with what I mentioned on the shelf that's available? Always love hearing from you guys, and like I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers, and I'll see you next time on the Mash and Drum. Take care.